Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. It's been far too long since we did one of these bad boys, so we are going to get straight into it. As ever, we've done this previously. We've made the ultimate Premier League squad, and we're going to do the exact same again. But of course, there's always a twist. There's always a twist. But the way that we're going to do it this time is that we're going to have 20 different people in this squad. Let me explain it to you. And we are powered by StatHead today. More about them in a second. They are unbelievable and they are supporting us with the back end of the season. And I can't wait to tell you more about them. Actually, they're going to support us throughout the video. So this is what we've got here. And I want you guys to get involved, of course, in the chat. And importantly, you guys will have a very, very big say at the end of this. So we're making a squad of 20, and the way it's going to work is that I've put together every single team's starting 11 generally. Obviously there's going to be one or two that are incorrect, or you have difference of opinion on that. And then from there, I've actually shortlisted players capable. But the most important thing is that you can only have one person from each Premier League club. So there's 20 spots. That means there's 2 players in each position and only 2 centre-backs. Yes, only 2 centre-backs. That's because we want to make it difficult, and it is stacked in that area. So let me go through my squad, and then at the end, I got to a point where there were 3 different options that I could have chosen, and in the end, I've gone with my pick, but you guys can decide, and that can be the final one. The final thing in terms of strategy, it's first, for me, I was trying to think of who would be your first pick, and who's had a great season. It's sort of an amalgamation of those two. So as you can see here, we've got all of the squads here, all 20 squads. And down the bottom, you can see here, I'm going to try my best to copy and paste them in. But here in the centre-back positions, there are only 2 spots available. And again, I just wanted to make the most elite squad that I could make. So the first thing I did, and I've done this in previous years, and if you enjoy this, we could do one for just the best out-and-out squad. So if you want us to do that, hit the like button right now. Thank you everyone who's joining us live. So this is what I did. Bosh. Highlighted in red, I've got players that I thought were in the running. Now, there are probably more players. For example, let's look at Man City, right? Man City got more players that are better than other players, right? That might give you more options. But in terms of picking the guy who's probably the first pick for their team to make the ultimate Premier League squad with one person from each squad, players like Ake, who's had a good season, he's not going to get above Rodri or Silva or De Bruyne or those guys. So these kind of became my nominees in terms of my options. The next thing I did was kind of worked through. There's the other thing that you've got to think about with this one is that there's clubs where there's players that are just clear, absolutely clear, and have to go into the squad. And so that's where I started. I started by picking the players that I thought were absolutely clear and had to go in there. Let's start off with the goalkeeping position, and I'll walk you through what I did as I did it. Feel free to do yours as you wish. So I started off with the goalkeeper position, and I looked around for a bit, and in the goalkeeper position, Everton and Pickford stood out. He's actually, and this is our first trip to StatHead. So for you guys who don't know, StatHead is powered by FBref. It is your keys to the most comprehensive public football database that is out there these days. And it's a sports search engine that is allowing us, honestly, it's taking our content to the next level, because as you're going to see, we're able to make these sort of custom-made tables with the exact stats that we need. Because simply, you can go to the criteria, and there's several different options, and there's several different sports when it comes to StatHead as well. But obviously, we use football for our content a lot of the time. There's a link in the description, JLA20. Use that code, you get 20% off. But the great thing about this is that you've got this season that you can focus on, which is what we've done here. So, for example, regular stats per play on this left-hand side, this season with goalkeepers, and we were looking for saves, and that's exactly what we've been able to make. And then, of course, you can hide it. But you can do like seeing how Haaland did in previous seasons, for example, or combined seasons, the amount of players that have done a certain thing. Honestly, it's absolutely incredible in terms of the content that we're making these days. So if you are a content creator or a journalist or an FPL nut, whatever you are, this, honestly, we're loving it. So get involved, links in the description. So, Jordan Pickford was my pick. He's just clear for me. So, he went in as my goalkeeper. 98 saves. There's more goalkeepers with more saves. But I thought when I was thinking of Everton, I was struggling for other picks. I really was struggling for other picks. So, Pickford was kind of one of the first picks for me. So, I'm going to put him in. Here's Pickford. Bosh. Now, I left the second goalkeeper position because I was thinking I might need to put someone who's not great because I wanted sexier picks in different areas. So I started to have a look around at my team, and there were certain players that had to go in for me. One player would go straight to the striker position. As I was looking through it, and again, players that have been clear this season, it had to be Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins has been absolutely fantastic in this season. 31 goals or assists, which is the best in the league. 19 goals from an XG of 15.3. He's just a joke. He's been an absolute joke all season. And this squad would have been an absolute abomination if he'd not been in there. Now, the thing, again, to remember is that you've only got one per club. But Watkins has been so clear for Aston Villa. For me, he had to go in. Now, again, you can have your strategies. Let me know in the comments below what your strategy is. But for me, my strategy is some players that are absolutely clear. And for me, Watkins has been absolutely clear for me. So Watkins went in. Another player that had to go in. So this is one where I'm going to get so many comments of people going, what about Foden? What about De Bruyne? Rodri has to go in. Rodri is a joke. Rodri has been a joke all season long. His stats obviously back that up this year. His FB ref is an absolute... It's insane. He's in the top sort of 5% for most metrics. Obviously, he's playing for Man City, but he is absolutely integral to them. And so he had to go in my ultimate squad. He's also clear. I then had a little look around. I looked at positions. Another player that had to go in was obviously Cole Palmer. And actually, let me know in the comments who had to be in there, who's absolutely clear. For me, Cole Palmer is definitely that kind of player. And I can show you some of his stats this year. Cole Palmer, we're talking about goals and assists. Ollie Watkins, 31. Cole Palmer, second with 29. Absolutely incredible first season for him this year. He had to go into my squad. So Cole Palmer makes his way in. And again, obviously, this takes away from... We now don't have another Chelsea option, so players like Gusto. I mean, I didn't have many Chelsea players in there. I wonder if there's anyone I missed when it came to that. Maybe you could chuck in Conor Gallagher if you're trying to mix things around. But again, I'm coming back to the strategy of who's first pick for their team for an ultimate squad and who's had a great season. Palmer has done both of those. So those two had to go in. Then what happened? I then started to have a little look around, and I started to look at the teams in mid-table because I wanted to get some of the best players from those guys as well. And also I started to think about Burnley and Sheffield United, who, again, if we're thinking about players that have been clear this year, well, for example, in terms of my shortlist here, Hamer, who Lil Nut has just said, he is the only one in red. And now, Sheffield United fans, let me know if I've got that wrong. Feel free to tell me that one. But for me, Hamer was literally the only option. So he made his way in. I actually had him as a centre midfielder here. So we'll just pop him in there. I've got my final squad here. And it might be mixed up on the on teams 1, 2, and 3. But I had him as a general midfielder. Where are we? Oh, this might get messy now. Let's find out. We'll soon find out. Don't worry about it. Okay. Here we go. I've got a few mixed up here. Don't worry. But my final squad will come together. It's absolutely fine. So in terms of those teams down the bottom, I then started to look at the right back and left back positions. So get your nominees in for right back and left back, because I thought that was quite difficult, quite tricky, especially the left back position. As you can see, I haven't got that many in red here. I didn't feel like there were that many options. Start to have a look at Tottenham, because I think Udogi's had a good season. Porro's had a good season. But as time progressed, I initially went for Porro. Porro's shot creating actions have been really, really strong this year. He's been right up there. 3.2 shot creating actions, 13th highest for all Premier League defenders. And he's actually taken more shots than any Premier League defender this year. So Porro were not out and out the best player for Tottenham, but I think when it comes to their system, he was a bit of a cut above. And when I'm thinking of right backs this season, he was up there. And then in terms of thinking of players that have clubs that have struggled and the best player for those clubs, I then went with Assignon, because when it came to Burnley, it was Assignon or Odobert. And Odobert left wing, I didn't want to waste that position in terms of my squad, because I thought there's better options that I could use. If you look down, you can see Tavernier, you've got Son, Paquetá, so many different options there. And again, some of these guys can wiggle about because you could have someone like Son on the left or you could have him through the middle. Those were both options. Assignon, I then just was trying to kind of get that one sorted out, but I was wondering about what am I going to do for my backup goalkeeper? But we figured it out. Don't worry. So left back in the end, Kirkes just stepped out for me. I felt bad about Solanke, but when I looked at the other strikers that were available and with Mateta there, I then made the call for Kirkes. I think Kirkes had an amazing season. I was chatting to the guys from Back of the Net, which is at Bournemouth channel, and they said he's been fantastic going forward. He's only 19, still so young. He's been absolutely brilliant for Bournemouth this year in a team that's, flying in terms of what we expected from the start of the season. Although I think some of us thought he might do all right, but he's obviously done really, really well under Iraola. So I put him in there. And then I was looking about, and I ended up with Anthony Robertson. So let's go back to FB Ref. Anthony Robertson's numbers are absolutely amazing. And in particular, he's got a bit of a Kyle Walker style to him. If he can get technically just a little bit better, a top six side beckons. I've always loved watching him. And I've always been a bit surprised as to why he's not sort of been linked with any of those clubs. But his stat, like interceptions, really high. I think going forward, can he be a little bit better? Yeah, maybe he can. But when I was looking at Fulham, and they've had a really strong season this season, but the struggles with the left back position, I then kind of went, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to go for Robinson as my left back. I nearly put Leno in for my Fulham option, but in the end, I went for Robinson because I think he's been absolutely fantastic this season for him. So I got my left back sorted. I then started to look at my centre backs, and I also started to look. So I imagine there's a lot of Arsenal and a lot of Liverpool fans in the chat. There often is. When it came to Liverpool and Arsenal, that was a problem because there are so many options, and if you look at both of them, to sort of wiggle around when it comes to your team. I come back to that strategy though. First pick or having a great season. Now, when it came to that, and sorry, there's Porro's stats that we've got here. Shot creating action 3.2. Virgil van Dijk, I kept going back to Virgil van Dijk. The amount of aerials that he's won this year is absolutely phenomenal. We know how good he is on the ball. In terms of aerial duels as well, if you have a look a little bit further on, I can put it here. We'll move it up. There he is, 83%. 83% when you're winning 122. That is absolutely phenomenal. And he's on his own back there a lot of the time. So when I looked at all of that Liverpool squad, he had to go in. And especially when I've got two centre backs, I want them cooking. I want them absolutely cooking. So he had to go in. William Saliba's stats weren't as good, but it's not all about stats. Even Stathead, whose links in the description, will attest to that. Sometimes you've got to use your eyes. Look, top 10% when it comes to pass completion, passes attempted. But look, you've got to use two eyes or use one eye. Do you know what I mean? And you can tell that Saliba's had an amazing season. 15 clean sheets in 33 league appearances, 5.6 balls recovered per game as well. Just such a calming influence. So when it came to the Arsenal team, and again, look, loads of options there. Loads of people in red. You could have put any of those in. And for you guys in your teams that you'll make, you might want to go a different route. But when I've only got two options for my centre-backs, I wanted to go big. So I've gone with Saliba. And I've gone with Virgil. Where are you, Virgil? There you go. Virgil makes his way into the team. So I then moved into midfield and up top because I knew I was sort of stacked on the right-hand side. And actually the front three positions I thought I'd be in a good place. I'm trying to remember how I did it. So I went to midfield next. I know I did. Because I then started to look at Luton. Still concentrating on those teams down the bottom. Now, Doughty could have been a good option. When I was looking at Fulham, I wanted to put Robinson in. I ended up with Barkley. Now, Barkley's stats are really, really interesting this year. He's had a really, really good season. In terms of take-ons, he's really, really strong. I think I've got his stats here somewhere. There you go. So in terms of, we've got here. Successful take-ons of a defender, 60. Third highest. That's absolutely ridiculous for a centre midfielder. Obviously, two wingers above him who are the players that you think of when you think of that. And then it's Ross Barkley. What a season he's had for Luton. Absolute renaissance in his career. And I thought he deserved it. But I actually put him as a DM. And I'll explain why, because you can move it about. And this is the good thing about my squad. And probably what makes my squad the best and better than yours is the fact that my squad has a little bit of versatility about it, especially in midfield. So I put Barkley in there, but I put him in the DM slot. But don't worry, because I could have done it the other way around. The way I did it this way around, because I then put in the beautiful man that is Pascal Gross, who is third for most shot-creating actions in the whole league. Which again, I think I can show you. Should be able to show you. Where is he? There he is. 163 shot-creating actions this season. 6th when it comes to open play. He continues to be just unbelievable. Just gorgeous. And like giving slow players around the world hope. So I had to put him in my 3 midfielders. So we've still got 2 attacking midfielders, which again, I left quite late. So this is exactly how I went about it. And I started to have a little look around. And do you know what I thought about? And now I thought about, okay, who are the big teams that I haven't touched yet? And a few stepped out, or 2 in particular. Man United and Newcastle United. And Newcastle, we've got a few options there. You've got Isak, you've got Gordon, you've got Bruno, but I'd kind of got my midfield sorted out. I guess I could have put him as an attacking midfielder if I wanted to play that game, but I didn't. I then went to Man United. For Man United, there were 2 options. I thought there was a Nana, maybe Delo if you really want to go that road. I mean, Tem Kalul is saying Mainu as a centre midfield, attacking midfield is valid. Yeah, but I had other options. In the end, I went with Bruno. Because Bruno's got the 4th most progressive passes completed this season, 256. 14 goals and assists, which is 16th most in the league. And I think of Man United, as I know people get frustrated with him, and I get that, and he's sometimes very difficult to like. In terms of the stats and in terms of what he offers to the team in creating chances, it's always there. It's always there. And so in terms of trying to get the best Man United player and coming back to who's the first pick for your team to build the ultimate squad, I went with Bruno. And then we had a few teams left over. So from there, we had an attacking midfield option. We had a right wing option. We had a centre forward option. And we had ourselves 2 options on the left wing. Okay. And the teams that we had left were Crystal Palace. We had Nottingham Forest. I had Wolves. And I had Newcastle. And so then, this is where you guys come in. So from there, I had 3 options left. So this is team 1. Oh, actually, I haven't told you about the goalkeeper. So I put Flecken in. I got to Brentford, and with the injuries that they've had, he's been there all season and actually been very, very impressive. I've got a good mate who's a Brentford fan, and he says on their forums, whenever they pick their man of the match, time and again, he's right up there. So Flecken I was like, yes, Flecken. So I've got a quality player from Brentford in there as well in what's been a very difficult season for them. So this is team 1. Team 1 was Chris Wood up top, whose conversion rate is like 38%. I had Eze in midfield, and again we can move these guys about. We had 1 spot left. Eze as my last midfielder, as an attacking midfielder, swapping with Hamer. And for Wolves, I went for Neto, who had a really strong start of the season, bad end to the season. And then I had Kudus, who in the Europa League has played on the left-hand side, but generally has played on the right-hand side, I'll be honest. So that's team 1. So at the end of this, I need you to vote for sorry, I just read the comment there. Have you ever watched Chris Wood play football? I've seen him score goals. Score goals, okay? Bit of respect. Okay? Sam Lane said Flecken is a questionable shout. He cost Brentford so many points. Brentford fans, tell him in the comments and give me a better option for a Brentford player when you're wiggling this all about. Feel free to get your team, send it to me on Twitter, okay? So this is team 1. So, and remember, these are the options. Palace, you got Palace in here. You got Neto. You got for Wolves. You got Wood for Forest, and you've got Kudus. And then I put Gordon in as well. I thought Gordon was a good option. Okay, he's had a great season. Team 2, same teams. We've got moving about here. Right. I swapped it about. We put Elise on the right-hand side. He's been brilliant, but he's been injured regularly. I put Kudus, stayed on the left-hand side with Gordon. I put Cunha as a centre forward, and I think Cunha's been absolutely amazing this season. So good for them. In terms of, in possession, he's been brilliant. It's a career best for him, 17 goals and assists this year. So that was my second option. And I kind of wanted to get Cunha in because I think he is the story of Wolves this year, personally. And then team 3. So get ready to vote here, but let me tell you first. This was team 3. Team 3, we put Eze left wing. Now, I know what you're saying. I know, I hear you. You're getting annoyed. But no, he played left wing just the other day. And what happened? They won 5-2. Okay? And I actually think his best position is on that side. And with the new manager, could he be on the left side more and more? Time will tell. But he loves that. He loves that left half. Okay? So I put Eze in there, right? Put Gibbs White as an attacking midfielder. Cunha. And then Kudus, move him over to the right-hand side. The old switcheroo. Now, I want you to vote right now. 1, 2, or 3. We'll just run through it one last time. And whilst you're there, guys, hit the like button. If we get 5,000 likes on this, I'll do a squad for the season, regardless of it being one player per team. And make sure you do yours. Make sure you share this to your mates. That's what this channel's all about. It's just you guys getting involved. So I want to decide. I'll tell you mine once you've voted. We'll see. You can vote right now. I'm going to tell you which team I like the best. And actually, I'm actually very, very pleased with my team. I think you're struggling to get a better team with that in terms of the strategy I've had. First picks and having a great season. So team 1, or squad 1, squad 2. And again, so Neto's in this one, basically. And Woods up top. Cunha, you got Elise on the right-hand side. Kudus on the left-hand side. Gibbs White. Or getting Kudus to the position he's played all season, let's be honest. On the right-hand side. Cunha through the middle. Eze on the left, which is maybe the slightly cheeky one. And Gibbs White, who's not hit the same heights as last season, but has had a good season overall. 12 goals and assists. Hasn't lit it up as much, but I think still good. Okay, so you guys have your vote. Let's close the vote now if we can. I might be able to do it myself. Actually, I can see. I'm voting for. I can't vote on mine, annoyingly. So I've gone. Oh, the votes are in. Okay, you go. Here we go. So which team was the best? Fortunately, 48% of you were absolutely correct. The right team is the one in front of me right now. That's the team I picked. That's the team I got to. And that is the best I think you're going to find out in the game today. You guys, off you go. Tell your mates. One person per club. 20-man squad. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And go check out StatHead. Links in the description. Honestly, it's